Meatball George, how are you today?
Hello, brother Meatball John. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So, listen, during the bye, we had planned during the bye week to do kind of I'll say this, what is the state of the Buffalo Bills? Like, where are they?
Right.
I ended up with that damn bad tooth, the tooth infection, and I really wasn't up to doing a video.
Hmm.
Well, in a way, it might have turned out okay because now we know that the trade deadline is passed. The Bills made it
Right. We know what happened.
right. And the second thing, like before the season started, every fan of every NFL team looks at the schedule of their team, and you can't help yourself. You start going down that list, and you start saying, "Win, win, maybe win. Oh, that could be a lot of win." Right? You can't help yourself.
Right.
And to give us a little recap, before the season started, we had kind of talked. We would know what kind of team the Bills were going to be this year by the bye because the strength of schedule before and then after look, yeah. So at this point, not only is the bye week over now, they've going into the season. We Green Bay was the last year's NFC. Well, they had the best record in the league last year of the NFC last year. They had home field advantage, so we thought they were going to be pretty good.
Right.
So now they've played 7 games. And what kind of a team do you think we got? So that's a little state of the Bills. How do you feel about this Bills team? And if you want to throw in there the trade, go ahead. But like, how do you feel like after 7 games? What do you think we are? Or what do you think we are?
All right. Well, I can't help but compare them to the Bills of the 90s because those Bills went to 4 straight Super Bowls. Oh, I spelled Meatball George wrong. I put Georgia. Okay. So,
I can fix that for you while you're talking.
so the Bills of the 90s, they had a number of core players. And we kind of talked about this. They had Kelly and Reed, and this Bills team has Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs. Excuse me. I think Josh Allen is better in that with his arm, he has more power and can make some more difficult throws than Kelly. But Kelly showed me that he was a field general. And sometimes I question that on Josh Allen. But I think it's comparative. Then we had Pete Metzelaars, very good tight end. And we got Dawson Knox, who showed us last year that he can be a Pro Bowl type player. We're not seeing it quite yet this year. So
Right.
I'm not really sure what's happening there. We had on defense, we had Bruce Smith and Cornelius Bennett. And those are just 2 of the great players we had on our defense. And on this year now, we've got Von Miller, along with, as he's teaching, Greg Rousseau, who I like a lot. And you've got Matt Milano, great linebacker. So I think we've got a very comparable defense to those Bills. They had 90s had Thurman Thomas in the backfield with Kenneth Davis as a backup, and he wasn't just sufficient. He was a really good backup. He could have started on many teams.
Okay.
And we have on our starting running back is Singletary, who I would compare to Kenneth Davis. So I think our starting running back is really a backup running back. And I know people want to make you look at the numbers. He gets 5.1 or 4.9 yards a carry or this or that or the other thing. But when it gets down to the goal line or it gets down to short and third and short, he's not ball. Josh Allen's taking it over. They're not trusting him to get that first down like the Bills trusted Thurman Thomas to get that first down. I mean, I saw Thurman Thomas at times as he got older. he'd turn around backwards and he'd keep pushing with his legs to move that line himself.
Right.
You don't, you see Singletary doing the best he can, but I don't think he's a starting running back anywhere near the caliber of Thurman Thomas.
Well,
And I think that's really our biggest weakness.
yeah.
So when I look at it, I think they're really an outstanding football team for, it says my internet connection is unstable. So if I Twitter in and out,
Yeah, you were.
that the Bills, yeah. So the Bills currently, I think, are a great football team for the current time period. I just don't think there's a lot of great football teams in this league right now. And I think if you would have put him back in the 90s, if you're trying to compare them that way, I don't know if they go to 4 straight Super Bowls. We haven't seen them go to one yet, but I don't see them as good as the Buffalo Bills of the 90s. I want them to be, but I don't think they're here yet. And they continue to try to make changes in the running back room to try and stimulate that. And I think that until they do that, we're going to continue to struggle a little bit. But compared to the other teams that are out there, I think we're as good or better than any of them.
So let me throw something in there.
Did I confuse anybody with that? I don't think so.
No, well, just one little note that
Okay.
you had mentioned that Kenneth Davis was very good
Mm-hmm.
and could even have been a starter on a number of teams in that era.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't disagree with you. But you also then later in talking about Singletary, you compared him to Kenneth Davis.
Yeah.
And I would only say I think you might have misspoke there because Singletary, I don't think would start on many teams in this era or that one.
Mm-hmm.
In a good spot right here, he's adequate, but I think the other 31 teams wouldn't necessarily look at him as a starter for them.
Well, I think some would. I think some would. I think some would. I don't think he's starting running back in Chicago. They got David Montgomery. I don't think he's a starting running back in Kansas City. I don't think he is in Dallas. I don't think he is in the Giants.
Yeah.
I mean, I can go on and on. I don't think he is for the Colts. I mean, you can go on and on and on. And I agree with you. And I think at best he's a good backup.
Okay, so I would agree he's a good he's a quality backup. I would just I think that's it.
Yeah.
I think the backup on really should be a backup on all 32 teams, but we don't have anybody else. That's what we got.
We don't have anybody.
Now he's adequate on a team that's a throwing team, and he's not going to get that many carries. And when he does, he's going to often be against a 6-man front. I would suggest that his production should be better against the defenses he's facing. A defense that's really worried about a pass and the deep pass. He should be more effective than he has been, but he's only got the skill set. He's a willing runner. I'm sure he's a wonderful person, and he belongs on an NFL field. But he probably is a backup.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm with you there. I thought your the trade analysis was pretty much on point. I will say that I think we're at slightly different. Our estimations of Allen are probably a little bit different.
Okay.
In so much as the sophistication of the offense that Allen is running is more sophisticated than what Kelly was running.
I agree with that. You're absolutely right.
There's more to be done, and he's not in his prime yet. So and not just so now there's always that concern that when he gets to his prime, he'll be hobbled because of some sort of injury, right? He runs so much, but that he 3 more years from now, as he learns defenses even better, as long as he has a dynamic offense to work with, I think he'll continue to. I think he's still growing in the mental department, his understanding of the game.
All right, let me
He's
ask you this question. Jim Kelly was drafted in 1983.
Yeah.
That famous 1983 draft, the quarterback.
5 quarterbacks.
He went to he went to the Houston Gamblers.
Yes, he did.
How many years before he came back and joined Buffalo?
Was it 4 years?
4 years. That's the way I remember it.
Was it 4 years? It was a
So
couple. Yeah.
now, when was Josh Allen drafted by the Bills?
18.
And what year is it now? And how many years difference is that?
He is in his 5th year, I believe.
So he may be a little farther along than Kelly was at this point in his career. Kelly would have been in year 1988, where the Bills were really starting to move the ball. So let's see if Josh Allen follows that. I mean, and with that, you're saying that the Bills still got another year or two before they might be in the Super Bowl. When you look at the Bills of the 90s, it took them a couple more years to finish putting everything together, because they really got good. 89, they were in the 89 championship game, and then 1990 they went to the Super Bowl. So that gives Josh Allen a couple more years. So I'm going to give you that. I think Josh Allen can grow a little more, and that could be, like I'm saying, he may not be as refined and he may make some mistakes, but he is younger than Kelly was when Kelly was getting us there. So I'll give you that. I granted, I think that's a good point.
And I don't know really how to express it, so let me just try. Look, we're kind of comparing Kelly as a quarterback to Allen as a quarterback, which I think what we're both doing is thinking of them as passers.
Yes.
Well, Kelly gave you nothing in the running game.
No, he
Right.
had led.
Yeah. I mean, he might, on a third down, if you only need a couple of yards, he might be able to scrattle for a couple of yards, maybe get you a first down, but he's not a threat.
No.
But there's something to that. Now, I think both of us kind of believe, and we really enjoy the passing attack. And we both believe, I think, that if you're going to win a Super Bowl, you have to have a passing offense that's very effective. Hence the reason why the vast majority of Super Bowl champions have good quarterbacks. No, that's part of the requirements, if you will. So when we judge Allen that way, that's really what we're thinking about. And sometimes we maybe don't give him the credit for, he's also the only power back they have. He's also the only threat they have with the ball to run more than 20 yards. As where is that?
He's their threat for short and goal, at goal, and he's also the threat to try and pick up a 14-yard first down.
It's tough to really, what value do you put on that when you start comparing him to other quarterbacks? So would you think of, he's not in his prime yet, but you think of, say, Aaron Rodgers in his prime. Well, when Allen gets to his prime, whenever that is, he may or may not quite be the passer of Aaron Rodgers, but what value do you put on the running ability? I don't know. That makes it tough. And unless he wins a championship, you're always going to rate him down from the guys who have.
It's my belief that if you're relying on your quarterback to run the ball to get you a first down, then you got a problem in your running game. I can't think back, Johnny. You can tell me who you think it was, but you tell me how many quarterbacks were running quarterbacks that won the Super Bowl.
Look,
maybe Doug Williams, was he a running quarterback for the Washington Redskins?
Well, you know what? Hold on, because he certainly had abilities. He was certainly an athlete. He was a great athlete. But he was
great athlete.
He could pass. I mean, he could make every pass.
Yes, he could do both, right.
So did he also have the ability to be dangerous with the run? Yeah, I think he probably did. Yeah. Michael Vick.
But they didn't count on him to be the running game.
No, Michael Vick got to a Super Bowl with Atlanta. They lost. Uh, and at the time he got them there, his running and athleticism, his running ability was a big part of their offense. He could
France
also,
Argentine was the scrambler. He got to a couple Super Bowls. They lost them both.
now, and there you have I know that reputation, and I've seen highlights, but I really didn't watch him play. He's a little beyond my time, and the rules of the game were a little different then.
Yeah.
So passing was harder. So who knows what he could have done if he were playing with today's rules.
Right.
But I guess you could probably say that about a lot of quarterbacks from the.
I guess the point of the whole thing I was trying to make is I still think the Bills right now in the current NFL are a really great team. And I think they have a weakness in their running game. And until they address that, I think winning the Super Bowl is possible, but it's not like highly likely in the way that you would say, New England had Tom Brady and they always found players to put around them that could do their part, can do their role, including running the ball, and they were going to be there. And we have not yet found all the parts to go around Josh Allen to make that difference. We've got a lot of parts, and we've got a great defense who keeps us in a lot of games. And if Josh doesn't make a stupid mistake, he's got the ability to do fantastic. Look what he did to Tennessee this year. He tore them apart. They took them out after 41. They were up by 41 points, and they took them out.
All right, so, and one of the things that it was an old adage: if you want to win a championship, you have to be able to run the ball, and you have to be able to stop the run. And
yeah,
from what we saw. The Bills played Kansas City last year. And even though both teams had some aspirations of having a balanced attack and running the ball, and both teams did run the ball a bit. They also really depended on the quarterback's arms.
Yeah, they did.
So the game, I'm not sure that adage applies as much as it did 20 years ago, 30 years ago, but Lord knows if you can't stop the run, you got a problem.
Yeah.
When you go up against a playoff caliber team, we just played Green Bay, who were hell-bent to run the ball. And if the Bills were getting gashed for the runs like they were against Green Bay, against a playoff team, a team that's playing well,
right,
whose passing attack is a bit more effective, they could have really been in trouble.
Yeah, if they were in the Super Bowl against the Eagles, they could have been in trouble, right? That could have been a game that they definitely could have been in trouble. They can run the ball and they can throw some.
Let me give you a scary thought. Miami just got themselves another running back. If they ever get that running game going and have an explosive passing offense with a running attack.
Well, John, who did they pick up at running back?
They picked up another kid out of San Francisco. San Francisco got McCaffrey, and they traded away. I think they traded away a running back.
Okay.
They still maintain, like you mentioned New England earlier. New England they always had a running attack. They always were able to utilize their backfield, both for running and catching. But it might be running back by committee. They bring in this guy on third down to catch. They bring this guy to run on first down. They would mix and match depending on what they wanted, what down and distance and what they wanted to do. But in the end, it was effective for them.
When I look at Miami, to me, I see a team that is modeling themselves after the Buffalo Bills. And they're going after the arms race. And they've got a young quarterback, and they've got dynamic wide receivers and their tight end, Gesicki. And I think those three, wide receivers and Gesicki could be, you can say they're better than the Bills, 2 wide receivers and tight end. But Josh Allen makes the difference because he's so much better than Tua. But what the Dolphins went out and did this week is they picked up Bradley Chubb as a pass rusher. He's like a young Von Miller. And they're trying to do exactly what the Bills are trying to do, is now get a pass. Now they're going to play the Bills. They got great wide receivers. They got their quarterback. And now they want to get pressure on Josh Allen. And that's their game plan, is to play the Bills with the Bills. I mean, they're modeling themselves right after them. And being weak in the running back room, that's what the Bills are. So I see the Dolphins modeling themselves after Buffalo. The team that I see in the division that's becoming more well-rounded is the Jets. They got some running backs. They got the Zach Wilson. They got Breece Hall. My internet connection is unstable. I hope I don't go out on you. But they got Breece Hall, which is a good running back.
I tell you what, give me
Did I go
one
out?
second.
Am I frozen?
Well, no, but before you switch over to the Jets, I want to throw something at you.
Okay.
Look, Miami did go out and get Chubb, and
Right.
he should help their defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell you what his sack totals are.
Yeah.
2018, he's a rookie. He's got 12 sacks. It's phenomenal. We wish the group had that.
Mm-hmm.
2019, 1 sack. 2020, 7.5. 2021.
What happened to the one sack? Was he out all year or what?
Hold on. 2020, 7.5 sacks.
Still not bad.
No, Mario Edison.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
2021, 0 sacks. So far this year, though, 5.5 sacks. So he's having a good year.
So if the year's an even number, he's a good player. If the year's an odd number, he's the odd man out.
All right, so hold on. Let me see if I could
But
figure.
we just got to get past this year. Next year, we're going to cruise past him.
Well, and I think part of his problem is injuries. Whether he's playing with the injury or he's out with the injury, that's part of his challenge. So there's real potential there.
Mm-hmm.
But there is not Von Miller.
Mm-hmm.
His ceiling is more like Jerry Hughes or Mario Addison. Maybe not even Hughes. But still, they did add, like maybe they're looking to do a rotation, try to keep their guys fresh. And now they're also going to be able to rotate in this fella who has some pass rushing moves, right? So they have helped themselves for sure. But he's not future Hall of Famer, and he isn't that dominating of a player.
Mm-hmm.
So from what he was in the 4 years he's been in the league,
Yeah.
In 2018, like once he really began to understand schemes, his sack totals went down.
Yeah.
When it stopped becoming just go get the quarterback, and he sometimes had to read, react, things changed, and that can happen, All right, so the Jets. You were talking about the Jets, and before you lost, or you did lose your internet, before your internet connection went bad, you were talking about the Jets, and you were saying that maybe you thought that they were building a stronger team than Miami.
Yeah. I like the way they're building their team. They've got a quarterback, and now they got a backup quarterback that might be better than their quarterback. So they seem to be good there. They've drafted some great receivers. They got Breece Hall, could be one of the best running backs in the NFL. And they're slowly putting together a group of core players in all the key positions. And here I am talking about the Jets. Yeah, Sauce Gardner, he's fantastic. And we've talked about this before. It's like, if you could make your draft meaningful, you don't have to draft 8 players if the 3 you get are meaningful. But that's a whole different thing. They had meaningful drafts because they stunk so bad. They had a lot of high draft picks. And they're using them. Whoever's making the decisions and picking these guys are picking good players. They're putting together a solid team. I don't think they're going to compete for a Super Bowl this year, but I like the way they're going. And with Miami, I think Miami's kind of a flash in the pan team. I think they're going to be good. I think they're going to sell tickets, but I don't think they're ever going to be the top dog in the division. And I think the Bills are, but I think the Jets are going to be the ones nipping at their heels. And the Bills better figure out their shortcomings before the Jets pass them by.
All right.
So that's my take on the State of the Union.
All right. So with the Jets, that's their next opponent.
Mhm.
How do you see this game here? We'll kind of combine this with our preview.
Okay. Well, I see the Jets. It's going to be at home in New York. So the Bills are on the road. And I do think the Bills are going to be more disciplined and ready for the Jets coming out of this win against Green Bay. I think they're going to try and establish the run again. I think Josh Allen is going to pass. The Bills do like to find ways to go long. They like to go deep. And I think that they will. If Diggs is tied up with Sauce Gardner, if he can't beat him, which I don't know why he can't beat a rookie, then you've got Gabe Davis on the other side who can. And I think the Bills are going to score a number of points, but I don't see them scoring 40 points. I think the Jets are going to be good enough on defense to get the Bills, hold them to 4 or 5 scores. I'm going to say 5 scores. So 21 to 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals is 27 to 28 points. 27 to 30 points, I think, is where the Bills are going to top off. And I think the Bills defense is going to be good enough to shut down the passing attack and the running attack. I think they're going to focus on the run. I don't think Breece Hall is even playing this week, John.
He's out.
I think the Bills are going to. He's out for the season.
He had a knee injury. He's done for.
So I think as long as they don't make this mistake like they did in Green Bay, saying, "Well, all the Jets are going to be able to do is pass, so we don't have to play the run," I don't think they'll make that same mistake. I think they'll hold the Jets to a couple of scores. If it's 2 scores, it's 10 to 14. If it's 3 scores, it might be 2 field goals and a touchdown. So I got them winning by, let's say 30 to 14. I think they'll cover the spread.
10.
I think they'll cover the spread. I don't think it's going to be anything where they bury them. They're not going to hang 44 points on the Jets. I think they're going to beat them. It's going to be a nice conservative play and win for the Bills on the road. And then they're going to get back home and start concentrating on the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, the spread right now, 13.
Okay, it's up to 13. Okay.
It is up to 13. I'm not seeing the under over 47. There you are. Yeah, so do you have your total score 30 to, what'd you say, 30 to 14?
Yeah, that puts it on.
Under. And basically you're saying under because the Jets just won't put enough points on the board. They can't.
Yeah, I think the Bills defense is going to be too good for them.
Okay. Great. So we've still got a few minutes here. It's
going to be interesting to see, there's a problem with Matt Wilson on the Jets, and he was fighting with some of the other players, and it's FU this and FU that. and then they put in Zappy, and Zappy can move the ball. So the whole thing's kind of interesting, and we'll see.
He doesn't play for
I'm
them.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm combining Zappy with the Jets. I know he's New England. Yeah, I know that. But wasn't there a problem with the Jets? Isn't it Zach Wilson?
Mhm.
And he was arguing with somebody on the team.
Oh, no, I did not realize that. Okay.
And there might be some issues there. There may be some internal locker room issues.
Maybe,
And I just
maybe Wilson.
I just think the Bills are going to be too much for him.
All right, so I agree. I would probably go under as well. And I like your 27 points for the Bills. So I'm thinking like 27-10, 27-14, 27-13. That's exactly where I'm at. So
Okay.
I think we're really close there. I don't have as much. My thoughts on the Jets are not as high as yours as far as what they're building.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, I forgot his name. They got the big defensive tackle Williams.
Mm-hmm.
They got him the same year we drafted Oliver. They drafted at number 3 a defensive tackle. And you know what? Before looking at the draft that year, I was kind of wishing the Bills could get up and get this guy.
Right.
Big run stopper and the ability to pass passer.
Mm-hmm.
And he can still make a difference in games. He can.
Yeah.
When he feels like it.
Okay.
But he is not always motivated to play well. And he's on a bad team, which makes it hard, right? It's hard to motivate yourself when you're on a bad team. Now, going against the Bills, he may very well play better, play at his best because the Bills are the favorite, right? But this Jet team, they won one game, they passed for 105 yards.
Mm-hmm.
They played a bad schedule. They've won some games against bad teams. I'm sure the Bills will get the best that they got. I thought Zach Wilson, I thought he'd be a little better right now than he has so far. And I know he had injuries. He lost half of a season last year.
Yeah.
He's had another injury this year. But the young man doesn't appear to be able to complete passes. It's crazy. I saw him play in college. I know he could make throws, but I don't know.
Isn't he the kid that came from Utah?
BYU.
Oh, BYU. Yeah, okay.
But yeah,
I'm in the state.
you're in the same state, yeah. So, you know what? I don't know. His next year will be third year, and that's pretty much, you have a pretty good idea what you got after 3 years in his third year. So we'll have to see. He's got still half a season here to show what he could do. But at this point, I'm not sure that they have their quarterback for the future.
Well, with if Poyer's out, which I think he will be, and you don't have either of your starting safeties in the game, you still don't have Trey White in the game, so you've got backup safeties, you've got rookie cornerbacks or third year guys at the best. There may be some, like we've seen in the past, throws against the Bills where they're throwing short, keeping everything in front of them. And the Jets are going to try and grind out the clock. And that's one of the reasons I think that it won't be that high score in a game for the Bills. Now, I'd love to turn on the TV and they score 63 points. I just don't see it happening. And until all the injuries and everything are done, John, it's not like we're a bad team, but a lot of our team, especially in defense, is still backup players or rookies. So I'm hearing kids yell outside the window. So I think we still have to get healthy.
Okay. But I think we're both still predicting a win as much as we want the Bills to get healthy.
Oh, yeah, I like I say, I think the Bills are gonna beat them and cover the spread.
All right,
But I
now,
don't think the Bills are gonna bury them.
this is, we talked, I mentioned earlier, before the season starts, you kind of go down the schedule and you say win, loss, win, whatever. When we were looking at the schedule and we were looking at divisional games, we kind of came up with, last year they were 6-0. Kind of thought they would probably be at least 5-1 this year. Well, they've only played one game in the division. They've already lost it. So all games are important, but I would like to see them start knocking off some of those division opponents as they're coming up now. We're going to play the Jets twice. We're going to play New England twice. Those are games that, in order to achieve their goals, they got to win these games. And whether it's by 1 point or 40, they got to win these games. I'm less worried about the cosmetics and how many points they win by, as much as they are just put the W on the board, get to the next week, and maybe get a little healthier.
Yeah, put the W on the board, get back home, continue to get healthy, get Trey White back in there when you can. And you know, they picked up a couple of guys during the trade here. Get them incorporated. They can make a difference on our team.
We didn't really talk about Hines.
Yeah, and we're going to run out of time.
You know what? Let's do just a Hines video.
Okay.
All right, everyone. If you liked our little discussion here about the state of the Bills this year, give us a thumbs up. Feel free to make any comments, especially if you want to add to the discussion. Let us know what you're thinking out there. Brother George.
Brother John.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
All right.
Moo.